Woohoo! We are live. Hey, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome to Into the Core podcast. I am your host, Linda. I am so excited to have you here. And today we're going to be talking about the state of the modeling industry as well as content in this beautiful continent that we call Africa, and how we can build it up and what we need to do to make, to be seen and to be heard. So it's to be seen in different, in various ways and various aspects. So we're going to dive into that. But before we do that, before I introduce my beautiful guests, I say the beautiful people, I tell you. Before I introduce my beautiful people, I always start my show with an introduction, and here we go. Into the core.
Get into it.
All good things in Africa and beyond. Into the core. 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 All good things in Africa and beyond. And we're back. That little intro always gets me so hyped up. So I'm really sorry. And I think
good music.
So let me start with a couple of people right now. My guests are absolutely fantastic, amazing people doing big things in the industry. This is about the modeling industry and what we need to do. Let me first and foremost introduce Katlego. Katlego, I got to meet him, I think in 2018, and he is absolutely fantastic. He is from South Africa. He is right now during this pandemic, I think, started a magazine. That is him. And you see how he's placed the clothes in the background. That is just, it's about styling and profiling. So I'm really excited. So he's been in the production side of fashion, and now, he's a creative director of VOGUE magazine. So welcome, Katlego. The next person I'm going to add is, let's go with Bisi. Women, so I'm going men, women, female. Okay. So Bisi is absolutely fantastic. She's a model first, and she's also a booker. Am I allowed to say the name of the agency, Bisi?
Yes, of course.
She's a booker for ICE models in Capetown, and she's doing in Johannesburg. Sorry, and she's absolutely fantastic. I mean, we're gonna get the ins and the outs of how we can go about working with our agencies, and I say the agencies in Africa because I always talk about the good things in and out of Africa, but now we're all in Africa, so we're going to be talking about the factors out here. And our next guest is going to be the one, the only from Kenya. I have to hype him up a little bit. Because we love him. So we're going to be talking to Nelvin. It's love. It's all love. So Nelvin Chuma is a model, and we're going to find out about his story also. He's been in the industry, and now, I know that he's also a designer. So we're going to also find out about this beautiful facet and this little leeway that you've taken into being a designer as well as a model, and how that's working out for you. So for right now, I want to welcome everybody to the stream. I'm really excited to have you. I'm jazzed. So thank you guys for giving me your time. This is super awesome. Okay. So now let's get down and dirty. I don't know if it's really down and dirty, but it's something nice. Let's
into the
core of this.
Exactly.
Let's start with the state of the modeling industry right now. We've gone into pandemic, and we've seen that things have, a lot of things have changed. I'm seeing that people are into now, I get the 3D virtual space, but what do you guys think? I'm going to start with Nelvin. What do you guys think about the state of the industry from the outside? You as a model, right now people want to go virtual 3D. Do you think it's going to affect the industry? And yeah, what do you think is the state of our fashion industry?
Modeling as it is right now, it's changed because even how clients book, they do their bookings, it's totally different. So international bookings and local bookings, they all heavily depend on the model, let's say, and how models are getting picked and how they're able to do the work per se. It's totally different now. So, for instance, I got booked for this job from back in Cape Town. It was a virtual casting.
Okay.
They did a whole, casting of all the models across, let's say, across the world, because they have diverse models from different places. Yeah.
Yeah.
So even that, even how the client was going to shoot that that campaign, it was their model themselves was the one who was going to use their phone or source a local product, source a local producer. You okay?
Yeah, I was
Yes.
sneezing.
Yeah. So even that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even that, it means now models have to do the extra work.
Yeah.
You there?
Yeah. We can hear you. We can hear you. Keep going.
Yes, so it's all totally different now when it comes to even how jobs are being sourced from by clients directly to the model.
Okay. What about you? What about you, BC? I mean, like when it comes to what you think about the state of the fashion industry, what do you think? What do you think needs to happen? Or what do you think the state of the industry is right now, and how is it affecting the modeling, the world of models?
Well, I mean, things have obviously changed a lot. It's completely different. I mean, I started working book about 2 years ago, and obviously I've been doing modeling for about 15 years now, which is a very long time.
Yeah.
But it hit. But thankfully, I mean, I can only speak for where I work, which is the Johannesburg market, and I think we're actually now gone back to things the way they were. Like clients are shooting more. Obviously, when it comes to like the fashion industry, it's still a little bit different.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like shooting commercials, we're fortunate that we're getting back to normal, and things are better now. It was a little bit different when we came back to work, because I came back to work at the end of June, because I think our company opened back probably, I think, May, June. So I came back to work at the end of June. And it was completely different, because before we would send castings out to models, we'll send them and they'll go for the physical casting. So now for
Yeah.
them to actually now do the self tapes, it was a little bit different, because now we have to go on YouTube as well. We have to send them, this is how you have to hold your phone when you record. This is how you have to do it. This is how you have to do the introduction. And you have to represent yourself well, because now it's not just you being in front of the casting director, and they're giving you tips on what to do. Now you have to do it yourself. Now you have to be the casting director. Now you have to do everything different. But I think for Johannesburg, it's very different now. We're fortunate, and things are getting a little bit back to normal, because now the casting directors are also doing physical castings now. So before they will do the self tapes, and all, for us bookers as well, it has been a little bit different, because we have to get the self tapes in, we have to rename them, we have to watch every single tape of each model. We have to watch everything, because you just don't get it and just send it up to clients like that. I mean, to the casting directors like that, because they also want a specific way on how you need to name the tapes. So
Yeah.
it's been very different. It's been quite interesting to do that. But I
Yeah.
think in Johannesburg, we're fortunate that things are getting a little bit back to normal. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. What about
Mm.
you, Katlego? I mean, like now that you are, you did the first magazine online, and then how do you feel the industry is looking? I mean, yeah. What's your take on the industry?
Basically, my take is how I see it is it's an opportunity. Firstly, so I'm always an optimist, basically. So I look at the brighter side towards
Mm.
things, and and
Katlego is
that's why
always
I think
happy. I've never
BC,
seen him in a bad mood.
yeah, BC always will testify to this. Like, I
Yeah.
can't have a bad day. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
Because and
Yeah.
I can't let things get me down because I always have to keep on moving and going on to the next. So I think for me, how I saw it was an opportunity for us to just grow and learn new ways of doing things. So as
Mm,
BC said earlier, like virtual things, recording, and
Mm.
all of that. So even with our publication that we launched during the whole pandemic, there
mm,
was a reason we launched it during pandemic because we saw that other businesses were being affected, and we didn't want
Mm.
the creative industry to suffer in the sense of the other businesses closing down and other publications closing down. So we thought that actually, you know what, there is a gap in the market here. We have to keep things going and show people that we can still do things within the pandemic. It's just about learning the new normal, basically.
yeah. I'm
Mm.
I really feel like we do have an opportunity to, we were talking last week with some beautiful minds, and we were talking about our focus on each sector that we are in, say within the fashion industry, and it's just a great time to for us to stop, take a minute, rethink our strategies, and then go back in and say, okay, this is what I'm changing, this is what I'm adding, this is what I'm removing. I mean, it really has created a time for us to really think about how we're doing business. What I would love to find out from you guys now is, what are some of the opportunities that you have seen within the industry that have, for you, that you're excited about? So let me start with you, BC.
I think, like Katleo said as well, it's just the opportunity to become more creative. You just don't want to sit back and be like, okay, well, there's a pandemic, there's nothing that I can do right now. And I think it's also for the models as well to become more creative with themselves and with the way, because it's so easy to just go to a casting, and then you get there. They only give you a few minutes. You're there, you do the, because I mean, if you go for a casting, there's probably like 200 people there. Models talk about that all the time, especially when you go for like what is it called, a TV commercial casting. They're looking for
Yeah,
one or two people, but you get there, you have to wait for. I mean, I've gone for a casting before where I had to wait like 4 hours. And the reason for this is like this was spending a lot of money, so everybody was wasting. They're like, I am not leaving. I'm gonna get an opportunity to cast because this is good money. So I'm gonna dedicate my whole day and I'm gonna stay here. And I think also you just get a few minutes to do that, and you're not creative enough because you leave the casting and you're like, oh, I didn't do well. I should have done this. I should have done that. But if you're at home and you get to do the self tapes, you have more than enough time. Because at the
yeah,
agency, we send out the cost. We always send out the costumes a day before or even 2 days before. So you have enough time to practice. You have enough time to rehearse. You have enough time to do the tapes, to do the self tapes over and over and over again as a model. So you have enough time to actually look at yourself like, you know what, I can do more. I can.
yeah,
You see the opportunity to do more. So for me, it's just for the models to become more creative with the castings, with the way they dress, because you look at those tapes like, okay, maybe this was not the right thing for me to wear. You can go back and change because you have 24 hours. I mean, if we send the casting to you today, we'll probably need it. Sometimes it's even over the weekend. So we
Yeah.
might send the casting on a Friday, and you have till Monday for you to be able to submit the casting. So you have the whole weekend. So it's for you to become more creative with the way you dress, your makeup, with the way you cast. You look at the videos over and over again. So for me, for the models, that's the way that I've seen it, for them to just become more creative in the way they do their castings.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, like I like that. I mean, like that now you have that you have time to really take care of what you look like. You don't have the pressure of seeing like, 30, 60, 100 models
Yeah.
all there. You have time to have that self-confidence and build that
Yeah,
confidence.
and that's the thing. Like
Um,
sometimes you go, there's some casting directors where you go to, and they cast you in front of other models, and the nerves are there because, like, even if you're good, you're like the other people sitting here watching me. Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. But if you're
yeah.
doing the casting at home, you're by yourself. You have enough time. So yeah, your self confidence there. You can build it more.
Nelvin, what are your thoughts too? What do you think?
I completely agree with Bisi because, even on a different scale, look at it this way. You could actually do a concept and pitch it directly to the client.
Yeah.
If you're, because as a model, if you have creative power where you can be able to do, let's say you're able to pull a designer, you're able to pull a photographer, a makeup artist. Let's say let's say they're your friends and you're able to do a beautiful concept and execute it well. That you can be able to pitch it directly to a brand, and they can pick up the concept because because if everything is done virtually and everything is online now, so you can be able to do a concept, pitch it directly to a brand. If they pick it, well and good, you know.
I think you were going in and out with the network, but when you put it that way, I mean, like
Sorry.
I really like the fact that you can say, yeah, you can go and pitch to a client, or you can be a little bit more creative. But if you're booked through an agency, so
Mm-hmm.
here I am trying to get the agencies back. I'm like, come back, come back,
Okay.
more jobs, more jobs. Uh, so I do like the fact that yes, you can reach out to clients, but how I'm trying to think about it is, we're talking about agency and models in agency, and trying to sustain a platform where it could be a dying platform at this point. There could be, this is the time where you're saying, like, you're right. I can go directly to a client. Why do I have to go through the agency? And I can pitch directly to them because we're miles and we're far apart. But how do we is there another way of sustaining the industry, especially during a time like this? You're signed to an agency, Nelvin, and so are you, BC. Do you get a lot of work through agency, or have you been getting a lot of client to model work? Katlego, I'm
I,
coming.
for instance,
Yes.
Since I'm now based in Nairobi, Kenya,
Yeah.
I've only gotten on one casting from my agency in Cape Town, Cover,
Okay.
and it wasn't able to convert into work. But the point that I said earlier about you pitching directly to clients is because here in Kenya, we lack structure when it comes to agencies, more so modeling agencies,
Yeah.
because of how it basically works here. It's not structured in terms of how it transitions from the model to the client, to the agency, then to the client.
Yeah.
So for us here, there's that opportunity where if you're able to create something beautiful, you can pitch it directly. But in an industry where the structure is more solid, like in SA, there it's different. Now you're able to get castings, and then once you get the castings, you either cast virtually or you'll go there physically. So there it works different than here. I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. And then
Can I
Yeah.
jump in also on that? In terms of like the industry and how I see it in terms of agencies and stuff. I think, especially with models, like I would say personally, it's a vital thing to have an agent, especially when you are, I think, also looking at the two different countries that we both all come from, basically. In South Africa, for instance, it's a must, I would say, to have an agency to be represented, just because some clients may take advantage of you. They may do certain things. They may pay you less. They may ask you to come through at different times. So, and as a model, sometimes you don't necessarily have the power to say, oh no, because you're also thinking, wait, this is also a paying gig at the end of the day. So an agent helps you in terms of representing you and being like, almost like, I don't want to put it
A
that way,
bridge.
but almost like the bad guy in the business of it.
Well, the
And
one who fights for you.
this is what we agreed on. So my model isn't doing 1, 2, and 3, because a client can easily say, when you're on set and stuff, change and be like, actually, I don't like how certain things are happening. I want things to change. But in the agreement originally with the agent, that was not communicated with. So I would say that agencies are extremely, extremely vital, I would say.
So
Absolutely.
I'm gonna come to both of you. I'm gonna ask Katlego and Nelvin. Nelvin, what would you like to see in the agencies here in Kenya? And Katlego, that will go for you. Because I'm sitting here in Kenya and BC, I'm gonna come up with a one up, like sell that ship home. But but Nelvin, you know what I mean? You've been here, you understand how the agencies are. What would you like to see the agencies do for you? And how would you like to be represented? It's a very key thing. We can point fingers, but we need to say, hey, listen, you need to pull your socks up, and this is what we want from you. This is how we want you to represent us. We're the ones who are bringing in the money into the agencies, right? So if you're going to represent us, this is what we want you to do. Yeah, because look, if you have a happy model and you have a model who becomes like, the superest of models in the world, everybody sits happy, because you're getting bookings left, right, and center. Enter BC, she'll be booking you in Joburg. Enter Katlego, he'll get you another whatever. Nelvin, you'll be introducing other, other models and saying, hey, come into my agency. This is, they really take care of us. So what would you like to see, Nelvin? You're the model. Tell me. I'm the facilitator. Creating the conversation.
It's a very good question.
It's a very good question. But the unfortunate thing here is the agencies themselves, their interest is not best to the model. Even they themselves, when it comes to the rates that they quote to the client and how it's supposed to transition back to the model, it's a whole different case. There was a hashtag some time back trending here, pay models KE. And that was basically for the agencies. Because it's not directly model to client. It was agency, model to agency. So a whole agency where they don't cater properly to the models when it comes to the pay, to how they treat their models in-house, even how they send them to castings, to jobs. It's totally different. And the thing I would like to see change is proper structure within the agencies. Proper structure.
Such as you want to see when you get signed in, Nelvin is basically taken through an orientation program. This is what we do. These are the people that we're working with. These are some of our clients. This is going to be your agency fee. And I'm presuming, Nelvin, correct me if I'm wrong, and BC, correct me if I'm wrong, Katlego, correct me if I'm wrong, that every model has got a different tier. Not every model sits in the same pay structure. Am I right or am I wrong? Is that based out of bookings that you get? bringing out the conversation. We're getting down and dirty.
Who's gonna go first? Katlego, you want to go first, or
Okay, I'll go
Um,
first. I would say you are correct in the sense that necessarily you can't pay a starter model the same rate as a model that's
Nelvin.
in the industry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There almost has to be a difference in pay, and
Tiers.
even the amount of work that a model does, and the book that's like almost a model that's coming into the industry is that's new would get almost a standard rate. There is a standard rate in South Africa that they do get. So in terms of that, it's all stated. Bisi, you'll correct me also. It's all stated in your contract also as a model when you do sign. So any other, and I do believe that it is a fair rate in terms of the amount of work that you do as a model.
Yeah.
I do think that maybe it can change in terms of the amount, maybe, but I would say it's extremely, extremely fair.
Nelvin, what about you? Tell me.
oh boy, it's totally different here. Completely different. So it can go because we don't have a rate card to start with. Like there's no industry rate card where, let's say, if you're doing an editorial or you're doing a commercial for a particular brand, and let's say the buyout is 2 years, 3 years, this is the rate that's supposed to pay you. No, we don't have that. So it's basically, and the model only knows of what they're being paid after you booked, and then it's like a last minute thing where your agency tells you like, yo, you've been booked for this job, and this is the rate you're being paid, a particular low amount. So will you do it? Because if you don't, this other guy will. So that's the position so many models are in.
wow?
Yeah.
And, yeah. So, and you see that's an agency problem, because they're the ones to tell the client if the rate is low, like, hey, listen, with my agency, I don't for commercials and let's say a particular job, we don't accept something below this. So the agencies themselves don't. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, and then that also cuts across to what you're telling. So even advertising agencies, so that when they're booking out, the models for commercial, work, that they have that structure in how much the standing rate is versus how much this model needs to be paid because of the tier that they fall into. All right.
I think I do think in South Africa it's totally different, because I've gotten an agent tell me that this particular model's our rate is too low for this model. Like they've told me that point blank.
Wow.
And that's why I was saying that they do, as a model, especially in South Africa, you kind of do need an agent, because then they're the ones that kind of do protect you, in the sense of, as a client, I would come to the agent and be like, this is the amount that I'm looking at. But then the agency would advise and be like, you're looking for this type of model who is well experienced, has done so much work, so your rate is way too low for them. And I've been told that firstly, your rate is way too low. Can you increase it by such amount? And then maybe we can have a look and see. And I think the other thing that I like about the South African agencies also is that they do communicate with the models, and they'll be like, no, let me speak to this particular, especially if, like magazines, for instance, they have a particular girl already in mind. So the agency will be like, no, let me speak to this particular model and hear if she will take it or not. If she will, I would just ask that you just increase it by this amount, and then we can communicate further. So I would say, in terms of pay, they do kind of come in and kind of negotiate almost.
And that's the
Bisi,
thing. Sorry, if I can add something to that, yeah.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
And that's the thing where almost all the mother agents here in Africa, they prefer sending their models down to Cape Town first, get them signed there because they know. If I truly believe in this model, I know they're going to work there. And the rates are good. They're going to build a book well. So after that, they can be able to go to, let's say, Europe and other places. But they know that the rates in South Africa are good. So the agencies, the mother agents here prefer sending their best models down there first.
Yeah. And which makes a lot of sense, because you want to have agencies that have a collection, like a really great collection of, and I'm not saying that you have 50 girls, to start at the top, but, have good selection of people who are going to work well. They're going to build their books, and basically that becomes a standpoint. I mean, we're starting somewhere, right? Bisi, what do you think in terms of agency? When you guys are selecting models, to how you work with mother agencies, how do you go about that, and what are the opportunities? Because remember, I also speak for my sister in Ethiopia. Nelvin knows her, Mahalet, in terms of scouting. Yeah, in terms of scouting people to go down and work and the works. How does that? What are your thoughts?
So you mean like scouting, obviously, from other African countries?
Yeah, because you see, they're talking about the agencies fight for you. So what is your back end? You're working for an agency. So what does that look like for when Bisi has booked a girl? How does that, take us through the whole process?
Okay, so for when it comes to the scouting process, we have a few people that we work with. So I mean, like usually when we get models from Nigeria, a lot of them just like, so we've had agencies from Nigeria that will send us emails and be like, oh, we have, so they'll send a couple of the models, they'll send the pictures, and we look at that.
Yeah.
So we do have some agencies that have emailed us, and we've had models directly email us as well, saying they want to come work in South Africa. And we've had models we get emails all the time, because I mean, I do the model submissions at work, and we get submissions every single day. You even get like people from Namibia, from everywhere, from Kenya, from all of those places. But we go through the pictures, and if the person fits the criteria for the agency, we talk to them further. But it's a little bit difficult because of the work permits can be quite hard to get. For South Africa, it's not always the easiest thing to get, but we go through the process of preparing the documents as well. I mean, it was the same for me when I joined Ice Models a bajillion years ago. I actually asked, it was, I don't know if Katlego still works with him, Jan Milan, when I came to South Africa in 2004, and he took me to Ice in Cape Town. But at the time I was going to Paris. So I was like, I'm going to Paris, it's fine. But then I had to come back here, and he gave me the contact of Jane Soleus. She's the director of ICE, and I sent an email, and I'm like, I want to come to South Africa. I think it would be a great opportunity for me to come work here. And they sent me all the documents. So we do that as well. If we get pictures of models and we see that they have the potential to be with us, we send them all the documents that they need. But it's just, I think sometimes the problem is just always the work permits that can be a little bit difficult to get. And also some people come into the country with the visa, and just the process of the work permit can be very difficult. So we do find a lot of potential. We get emails all the time. We go through some scouts. We have a guide that we work with here as well, and he sends us models. So we do find potential from everywhere. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
Somewhat there.
Ask more.
No, yeah. No, I mean, like, I feel like, in terms of agency, like Nelvin was saying, there's a huge gap to fill, say, in Kenya, with our working processes and how, how we represent models and what we want from the models, how we do our go-sees. Do we even do go-sees, Nelvin?
No. No, we
Just
don't.
clarify that. So it becomes a thing of the agency making sure that we change that structure. You know what I mean? Which I feel that even by the time a Kenyan model or a Ethiopian model understands what it means if they were to come to work in
Okay.
South
Yeah.
Africa or in Paris or whatever, and what that rate card looks like, what their portfolio looks like. Because when they're going in to see the designers, it's a whole other different. If you're going to see Katlego and he's like, "Oh, these are the type of models that we're looking for," you're looking at their book and then you're saying, well, first try on this outfit because maybe the book is not showing me everything that I need to see. And then from there, you're making your decisions. But I do think that we do need to really change our structure out here. I believe in that.
I would say,
Nelvin, is that one of the reasons? Mm-hmm.
So I would
Go
say
ahead.
in the South African country, actually in Africa, I know a lot of people. I mean, we've had people that say, "I want to do modeling. I'll quit my job or I'll quit school." In Africa, you can't do that. It's not, the
You
industry is
cannot.
big, but it's not that big. It's not big enough for you to quit school. It's not big enough for you to quit your job. It's not big enough for that. So even when we get models that come into the agency, we tell them you have to have a backup plan. This is not Europe where you can do a job for one designer and get a lot of money. I mean, even in Europe as well, there's still a lot of models that struggle because there are a lot of models. There are a lot of people that want to be in the industry. So, I mean, I've had the opportunity to travel to Paris and Milan and all of those places, and I know how difficult it can be to even get an agency. So it's the people at the top that kind of make it look so easy. The Kendall Jenners and the Gigi Hadid, they make it look like, no, just go to New York and you'll be fine. No, you're not going to be fine. Because a
Yeah.
lot of people, so we tell as well, like, we know you want to be models, but you have to have a backup plan. You have to have something else you're doing. And even when we bring models from Nigeria, we bring models from Kenya or all of those places, we tell them as well, like, you have to have something else that you're doing here. Don't just come in, because you're going to be frustrated if you come into South Africa and all you want to do is modeling. You're going to be frustrated because you have to understand as well, like, it's seasonal. It doesn't happen every day. You don't get castings every day. You don't get to work every day. So you have to have something else you're doing, because if you come here and you just want to be in South Africa to do modeling, you're going to be frustrated because it's not going to happen all the time. And then you're going to blame your agency for it. Like, oh, they're not booking me enough jobs, but you don't understand. Like, it's not something that happens every day. Sometimes you might get like 6, 7 castings in 1 week. And sometimes you might go like 2 weeks without getting any castings. Sometimes you might work every single day. And sometimes you might not work for the next 2 weeks or even over a month. So like Katlego said as well, it's very different here in South Africa when it comes to the rate.
Yeah.
I would say it's good and it's better. It's good sometimes. I mean, I don't know what the industry is like in Kenya, but hearing what Nelvin has to say, it's very different here. I mean, for us as agents, when we send our models to castings, we tell them what the rate is. And like Katlego said as well, like, the rate is different from every model because it's also based on your experience as well. You're getting paid for your experience. And I think it's with every single job that you do. If you work in an IT company, they pay you for your experience and what you know. So you're not going to go to a job and get the same rates as a model that just started yesterday. So, and
Yeah.
when we send things out as well, we send, this is the rate. And you as a model, you have the right to decide, I don't want to do it because the rate is not good enough for me. So we're not going to force you and say, if you don't do it, somebody else will. No, we're not going to tell you that. We'll tell you, this is the rate. Are you okay with the rate? And as Katlego said as well, we also negotiate, because that's the reason why we have agents. That's the reason I'm an agent. I'm the middleman. I'm there to send you to castings. I'm there to negotiate your fees. I'm there to look if a client sends something in and they want this model, because then sometimes we get something like, we want this model. We're like, not for that rate. You're not going to get that model for that rate, because we know the work they've done. We know where they are in their career. So yeah, it's definitely good for you to have an agent because they negotiate the fees. Because sometimes the models sometimes don't also understand the contract, but the agents do, and they help you in that aspect. So yeah, for the rates is always different for every model. I mean, I've been in the industry for 15 years and more. I wouldn't want to get paid the same as someone that started last week because the experience is
Absolutely.
different. So yeah.
Nelvin, and then Katlego. Nelvin, what these must have been some of the frustrations that you had being a model out here and saying that, okay, I'm not gonna work within, I'm not gonna get an agency to represent me here. I'm gonna look outside, or somebody outside found you. And how has that experience been for you?
For me, I was lucky because at some point, I wasn't too sure about the industry here. So I was only booking independent jobs from the relationships I had built from the good agencies that we have, but I wasn't signed to them. So there was this my mother agent now is called Ronnie from REDG. He scouted me through the concepts I had done before. So he picked me up. He picked some of my pieces up, and he was like, "Hey, dude, you're doing some amazing work. I would like to guide you and eventually represent you as a mother agent, and then we can be able to see how we can proceed from there." So he was able to guide me through the kind of shoots I'm supposed to be doing, how I'm supposed to be as a model myself, how I'm supposed to carry myself, how I'm supposed to take care of my skin, my hair, my nails, So he's the one who guided me through the entire process of being an international model per se. And then I eventually signed to him. And then he was able to place me first in Cape Town with Cover Models. That's where I did my first season in 2018. Unfortunately, that year was the year where there was the water crisis. So so it was a different script then. So like Bisi said, as a model, when you go somewhere and you expect that that's the only thing you'll be doing, you're supposed to do, and you'll get good money off of that, that's going to pay your bills and maybe save some. That can be it's not always that way. So it was a very tough season that year. But good thing, I had a skincare product which I carried with me, so I was able to shoot and market it there, and I was able to sell it there. So that's what sustained me during that time, because there was no jobs at all. We'd go, let's say, a week or two with only one casting. So a lot of models at that time, they were quite frustrated because it's not what they expected, and it could be quite it could be quite hard. So with that being said, now that's why I was able to pick up the design, my passion for designing. So I'm able to combine modeling here and designing at the same time.
Oh, that's really fantastic. And I've seen your stuff, which was just, it's like, Katlego, he's really amazing. So you need to get some of his stuff.
Thank you.
I saw your menswear, and I saw, the dresses that you had at Diana's store. And I was like, I called you and I was like, hey, and I was like, wait a second. We need to be talking about the modeling industry. I mean, like, this is how this whole thing came about, because I did run into his clothes, and then I was calling him and saying, hey, do you think you can dress me for one of these things? And then I was like, but wait, one moment, please. You were like this big time supermodel, and then you're also into design. And that kind of excited me because it's progressive, and it's and you're understanding something that is completely different, something that our industry needs. We always need to kind of learn from each other, right? And keep growing. We can't stay. Mahala is saying hey to you, so I'm going to throw that on the screen. So
hey, Mahala.
So Katlego, talk to me. I'm while you're talking, I'll be listening in, but talk to me a little bit about what your expectations are, especially when you're picking out models for. Let's start with your magazine, because that is here and now, that's present. That is exactly what is happening here.
So basically, when I start with my magazine, how I normally look at it, I first look at it in terms of I come up with a concept. So I come up creatively, think where
Mm-hmm.
should I kind of, what do I kind of need, and what
Mm-hmm.
is the need that people basically have in the industry. And then I create a mood board, and then from the mood board, I kind of see, okay, I kind of need this type of model. And then I go out and then I look at, normally what I do is I go through all the agencies online. So the
Yeah.
nice thing is Ice, Boss, Fabulous, Think, they all have their models online. So I look at their Z cards virtually. And then what I normally do is, lucky for me, I've been working with quite a few models. So I kind of know already most of them. So then I would reach out to the agency and be like, guys, I'm shooting this, and this is the rates that I have, and is this model available? And then they would be like, okay, cool, they are available, and you can come. They would send me through their dates and schedules, and then I would also send through fitting days. And remember, as a model, you must also get paid almost for the each day that you're with the client, basically. So whenever you have like a fitting day, you must get something. You have to get paid. When you have the show day or the shoot day, you have to get paid. And that's basically how I go about it. And also in terms of Neville, yeah, I think you're doing amazing. I think what you need to start doing also now is maybe then create your own agency. Do you know what I mean? So if you're seeing there's a gap already there in Kenya, that and you've traveled, that's, I think, the most fortunate thing for you also, that you've been
Yeah.
able to like experience the industry more compared to your other fellow models in Kenya. So I think maybe then what you need to do is maybe then start looking, and I think you've built up the connections already in South Africa, abroad, where you've been already. So maybe then start looking at it in that aspect of, actually, I can actually become an agency in my own country and teach them how certain things, how a model should be, almost what you were taught. So that's how I would
Absolutely.
kind of look at it. Yeah.
For sure, bro.
Mm.
Um, it's something that I put into consideration, but I thought let me build my leverage first as a designer.
Yeah. And no, I'll check out. I'll check out some of your stuff. By the way, you must send
Oh,
me
that
the
would be
link.
fantastic. That would be fantastic. I'll send you the my page, and then you can have a look, and then let me know the pieces that you like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can everybody hear each other? I feel going in and out.
There was just a bit of feedback, but yeah, I think we kind of.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can
Yeah.
hear you, Bisi.
Are we okay?
Okay, cool. So I got kicked off for a second there.
Yeah, it's struggling, isn't it? This network.
Just a little bit, I think.
Damn you, network. Okay. All right. But I'm so happy about the conversation that is happening here, because I'm hoping that there'll be some sort of collaboration between everybody who is here. With Bisi, with Nelvin, with Katlego, with Mahale, who's listening in from Ethiopia, and she's got agency as well as the Hub of Africa Fashion Week. With the other agencies, hopefully, who are listening in. is people need to understand what the opportunities are. And one of the main reasons that I started this podcast was to highlight people who are doing different things and showcase, the opportunities that could happen. I know I'm a little bit in the dark, so I'm going to keep playing with this while I ask you guys a question. In terms of relevance within the fashion industry, I have to put this out there, especially when it comes to content and building content. Do you think that we have an all-inclusive platform where, I am going to say it, where the Black models are included, especially when it comes to print magazines? And I have nothing against any other type of model. I'm talking about models who are coming out of Africa at this point. And I know that we're mixed. We have our Indians, we have our white models, we come with different shades. So do we feel that we need to be more included, especially when it comes to print? And print is now an online magazine too, as Katlego is doing. So Katlego, why don't I start with you? Do you feel that there is a gap that needs to be filled in terms of the type of models that are seen?
Personally, I feel there is a gap, yes. In the sense that I think as a model, you also kind of need to kind of have a look at the business side of it also, and just think of yourself as a business almost. And I think that's where models need to kind of improve in the sense of their branding almost, and almost remember that at the end of the day they are a business and they have a service to give at the end of the day. So that's what I would say, that there has to be some form of inclusivity, in the sense of corporates now need to start looking more into using more Black models, more Indian models, more colored models, more African models, if we have to put it out that in that sense. But I would say as an industry, we're slowly growing. It's becoming, especially as a continent, I think we can't rush things almost and expect things to change overnight. That because if we do change overnight, then it almost becomes like it could get washed away immediately. Do you know what I mean?
I agree.
So we need to take our time also, in the sense of us growing as a continent, and as the inclusion aspect of it. It is slowly happening. We need to also be able to see those platforms that do include, and give credit to those platforms that do include and are slowly trying to like break the mold almost. So I would say that is slowly happening, and that is a positive thing. Yeah.
What about you, BC, and then Nelvin? Then you can also follow up with that.
I think I do agree with Katlego that there's more inclusion now. I think I'll speak from the point of the Johannesburg market once again. Like I said, I don't know why this is like in South Africa. Joburg is more of the Black markets, and Cape Town is more of the mixed Caucasian cappuccino models. And I think in Joburg, because it's more of a Black market, they do use a lot more Black models here. I mean, I go on Instagram all the time and I see like all this production companies that do a lot of fashion. There's a lot of inclusion of African models. But I like what Katlego said. It's not just the Black models; it's the Asian models as well. We want to see Indian models. Like, I mean, if you watch a fashion show, you hardly ever see Indian models, and I don't understand why that is. Like, are you saying Indian people don't wear clothes? because they do. Indian people wear clothes, Asians wear clothes. So we need to see more of that. And it's not just, but I think in the Johannesburg markets, we definitely do have that. We have, I mean, with the magazines here as well, you see a lot of the black models in the fashion magazines on the runway. I mean, we just recently did, fortunately enough, I was part of SA Fashion Week, because they are doing the virtual show from the 22nd to the 24th, and we had the opportunity to shoot it last week, and there was just a whole lot of different models there. You've got the cappuccino models, the white models, the black models. So yeah, I think just like Katlego said, it is changing. It's not where we want it to be, and I like what he said, that you don't want it to just completely change overnight, because it just comes and it goes. But if it grows, it is better. But I would say from the Johannesburg market point of view, we definitely do have a lot of inclusion of the black models. Internationally, there's a little bit of it, because I mean, I think I was watching one of the shows, because I think it was just the Paris Fashion Week that they did the shows just now, and you see a lot more Asian models. I mean, if you see all the campaigns that are happening now, you still see, like with Dior and Chanel and all of these designers, they're including more Asian and black models. It's not where we want it to be, definitely, but it's better than where it was before. I mean, years ago, you go overseas, it's even hard to get an agency. They'll tell you, we already have someone that looks like you. Like, no, you don't. You just don't want to take me on. You have nobody that looks like me. But it is changing now, and I think that is, like Katlego said, it is a positive thing. So yeah.
And what about you, Nelvin? What do you think? You've worked in that industry. You've seen what it looks like. So what are your thoughts? I'm so dark out here. Damn.
It's okay.
I feel it's way better now than before. But if I can ask this, yeah, is it inclusion from an aesthetic point of view, where a campaign it looks nice if with a black model there, with an Asian model there, or is it inclusion for real, where we're actually considering these different ethnics, where we actually want these models to do work? Or is it just from an aesthetic point of view, where my campaign would look really good if I have this particular set of models?
You know what? I was okay. So the reason why I talk about inclusion is because there's been this whole. Now we're seeing a little bit more darker skinned people on magazines, right? Which is really great. But what I'm trying to say is I want inclusion in terms of work. You know, I feel like a model is a model is a model. Campaigns can look really differently. I mean, like, depending on the scope of your market and who you're speaking to, what's your market space, where, you know, what is your brand about? Who's your target audience as a brand, right? There's some people who go left, right, and center. You know, it's just everybody. It's like United Colors of Benetton. By the way, where are they? They were like United Colors of Benetton. You would see every skin color across the bound. I remember I just had a conversation recently with someone who just said, well, I have to travel down south to look for the really darker skin models, but does that represent my whole country because we come in different shades? You know, and I was like, oh, that's such an interesting, valid point, because then it just means that right now I'm happy. You know what I mean? That we're seeing a lot more dark-skinned people being included in campaigns. My question is that, you know, when we're talking about the representation across the board, are you seeing everybody that you need to see? You know, if you're talking about a Kenyan, you've got people from Taita, you've got your people from Lamu, you've got AIDS. So my thing is my inclusion within the whole market. Who represents Kenya? I say we've got our Wazungus, we've got our Indians, we've got our, you know, I don't know, Black people with all different shades, you know, starting from really light-skinned to really, really, really dark. You know, so mine is, am I seeing an inclusion in every campaign? I don't know. It's something just to debate about. So you guys go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's a very fine line.
I think I agree with you. I think.
Go ahead. Sorry, Nelvin, go ahead first.
No, it's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And then jump.
I'm saying it's Yes, it's a very fine line because of the different how we are. Let me, for lack of a better word, let me say divided in terms of tribes and all that. Um, uh, that's why I think it's something that will take a bit of time for all these shades and different uh, uh, let's say different Africans to be highlighted on a mainstream platform where they're able to represent each and every part where they come from. It's something that will definitely take time. But for what's happening now, I feel it's way much better than what's been happening way before, because of the campaigns that have been pushed online, because of how models are speaking up, how they would like represented by brands, even how models go to shows and they're not able to get the right color of makeup, you know. So it's something that, it's something that we've been able to air out over the period, over time, and it's getting better as time goes by.
Oh, that's awesome, BC. What did you have to? What were you saying?
No, I think I wanted to talk about the representation even on the international scale. I think at a point a few years ago, it just felt like if you had to come from Africa and you had to walk the international runway, you have to be dark skinned and you have to have some crazy story. Like, I'm not from a village. I don't have a crazy story, you know. And at that time, I felt like every single model, especially from Africa, that is on the runway, they always have to be dark skinned. They have to be from Sudan. And I've met somebody from Sudan that looks nothing like what the stereotypical Sudanese. That she's not dark skinned. She's light. She's got like big hair, you know. But they would tell her like, okay, maybe she's not dark skinned enough. Like, how can you be from Sudan and look like that? You're not dark enough. And I think on the international scale, it was very different. Like, you had to, coming from Africa, you have to be dark skinned, short hair, and a crazy story, you know. But thankfully, it is a bit different now because, I mean, I watch the shows now and I see a lot of models from Nigeria, from different African countries, and they're not as dark skinned as they would want them to be. So it is definitely changing, which is a good thing because, like you said, Africans become in different shades. You know, we have different hairstyles. We're not all Africans have like crazy afro like mine. Some people, their hair is softer. There's no shrinkage. It's very different for everybody. And I think that's also changing now. I mean, even with the Miss Universe that we have now, you know, like her hair, she's not got the weaves and everything. I love the beautiful short hair that she has. And that's very different. Years ago, that would never have happened for them to have, you know, a Miss Universe with short hair like that. So I think it's a great thing that things are changing. It's slowly but surely. So yeah, that was my take.
I just saw Mahalet saying, yeah, inclusion. I know that there's also other, you know, conversations that are happening on the back end and the reason why I asked about the inclusion, Nelvin and Katlego and Bisi, was because there is an amount of people who are feeling that there is a lack thereof to a certain aspect. But like I said, this is debatable, and I'm happy to hear these points of views. You know what I mean? Because it only gets better, you know, as we have the conversations and we can say, hey, yeah, this is how we want to be represented. This is why we want to be represented, and even speak to clients and say, how about we represent? Why don't we try something a little bit different? Why don't we add this, and this aspect? And Nelvin, to a point that you created earlier, you would be able to plant a seed in a client in a client's brand, because you'll be able to show them a different perspective, you know, in terms of an idea, creative direction. So, you know, these are takers. You know, we've reached the 1 hour mark, and I want to be able to ask 2 final questions. So when it comes to now our industry, I want us to to highlight opportunities, let's start with that, and leave a mark. So if we were to highlight opportunities, let me start with you, Nelvin. What opportunities would you highlight right now within your industry, within who Nelvin is as a person, what you've learned from this whole, you know, we've gone through this crazy pandemic, and I'm sure right now your mindset is, you've
Totally different.
readjusted yourself. So what are your opportunities? Highlight your opportunities. And then we'll get into that last question, which is, what is your ticker? What is the one thing that you would leave behind? Go ahead.
I think a model should be able to grow past just the pretty face. You need to be able to look at the industry from a 360 point of view. What the client expects. What is it that I can be able to offer? How can I be able to make this thing different? So for me, it's growing past the point of just waiting for jobs from let's say agents. I'm able to do my own concepts in terms of how I relate to a particular brand. So I'm able to do this is in regards with the agents with the problem with agencies that we have here. So I'm able to do concepts with either with my designs or with my modeling skills, and then pitch them directly to clients and able to grow. Also, another thing that I'm keen about is models should have that aspect of influencing in them, because now brands are not booking the same way they used to. If it's not directly through an agency where they book you, depending on your portfolio, if you're able to have some aspects of influencing, you're able to build your own followers and crowd. You're able, brands are able to approach you directly because they know you have a particular market ready. So
Yeah.
as a model, you should build leverage in every possible way you can.
All
Online,
right.
more so. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Katlego, what are your opportunities? How are you seeing your opportunities? What are the things that you could highlight as your opportunities?
So basically, how I see my opportunity is it's just branching out more, and I think it goes back to also how I see models also, because normally how I see models is they're still human beings at the end of the day, and it goes back to a point that I brought up earlier that they are also brands. So looking at themselves as brands, and that's how I know I have what I have taken, and I see there's an opportunity there that as a model, you need to kind of look at yourself as a brand and as a business, first of all, and just also the opportunity of learning from other people and seeing what other people have done and taking away from what other people have done so that you as a person don't have to go through that same thing or that same path that person went through. So
Yeah.
that's an opportunity that I've kind of seen. And just be mindful of also social media. Like social media plays a huge role now. I think technology is increasing. We need to kind of see that opportunity also in terms of technology and what we can do with technology. I mean, like BC was saying earlier, how SA Fashion Week now shot their virtual shows, all of that. So that's
Mm,
all opportunities that we have never thought of before the
yeah.
whole pandemic and before like the whole craziness of lockdown and COVID and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say that is a huge opportunity for me also.
Fantastic. Thank you. BC, what are your thoughts? What are your highlights?
I think Katlego and Nelvin has actually said it. It's social media as well. It's the opportunity for you to still grow as a model. I think social media right now it's a great tool for you. I mean, it's always been, but even more so than ever because now everything is virtual now. I mean, like I said, with the SA Fashion Week that just shut, it's actually great because you can get to watch the show anywhere you are because now they're doing the virtual shows. You can get ticket and you can watch it in the comforts of your home. So the opportunities for models is still social media to push yourself online because that's where clients are going now because a lot of clients are not able to see people in person, you know.
Yeah.
But the opportunity is still there for you as a model to approach agencies, even though at this time of the year things are kind of like winding down. By second week in December, almost everything closes, but there's still the opportunity there. I think agencies are still always looking for new models
Yeah.
because there's sometimes some people will join agencies and they don't have the time. So there's always that opportunity, that door that is open for models to still approach agencies. I mean, like I said, we still get model submission even during lockdown. We're still getting model submissions. You know, that
Yeah.
lockdown did not stop people from wanting to be models. So we still
Yeah.
got that. So the opportunity is still there for you to approach agencies. The opportunity is still there for you to send your pictures. And internationally is a little bit of a problem because no one is really traveling right now. And I'm sure tickets are even more expensive. But it's using online. It's still approaching agencies. It's still working on yourself as if nothing ever happened. Like just because the pandemic happened doesn't mean you should stop working on yourself as a model. You still have social media to push yourself. You can still approach agencies if you're looking for agencies. We still have a lot of people from Nigeria that still send us emails all the time wanting to be models, and we still see the potential there. They might not be able to travel right now, but I still, at least they're not letting that stop. They're not allowing that to stop them from approaching agencies. So it's still there. It's still there for you to work on yourself. It's still there for you to build your portfolio. And this is even a great time for you to actually do a lot of test shoots. If you have photographers that are wanting to test with you, this is a great time for you to build your book because everybody's wanting to do something. The makeup artists don't want to just sit at home and do nothing. Photographers want to shoot. So if you as a model have people approaching you and they want to do a test shoot with you, go ahead and build your book right now. It's such a great time for you to get more pictures because unfortunately, like a lot of the magazines that we have in South Africa, they've had to close down because they didn't survive COVID. But if you have a lot of photographers approaching you and saying, I want to do a test shoot with you, this is not the time to be asking, are you paying me? You know, because actually test shoots, you don't get paid for that. Test shoots is test shoots. So approach photographers and tell them you want to shoot with them. You know, if they're willing to do that, because it works for you as a model, works for the photographer, it works for the makeup artist. Everybody gets pictures from it. So still build yourself as if nothing happened, and still approach agencies. I mean, if you have the criteria for the agencies, they will take you on. So I don't think that should stop you from working on yourself as a model.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Now I really love the dynamic of the opportunities that are definitely there, because that's exactly what this pandemic has done. It has just basically allowed us to delete and restart again.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I feel like if we're not restarting, then you shall be left behind. And I'm like, I want to be ahead of that pack. No, but I just like my conversations that I'm having right now. Finally, what are your parting words? I'm really excited that all of you have put something on the table. I'm going to start it off by saying agencies need to pay attention to the models and how you represent the models and why you represent the model. You need to pay attention to the clients that you're working with and why you're working with those clients, because remember, that determines everything if you are an agency. And now for the models, as Nelvin has said, I leave it with I leave his words, his parting words are going to be my parting words. I'm going to be like what he said. But I'm excited for the opportunities that people could have and could build and could grow into. And I'm looking for more diversification in terms of content and content building, so that one goes through Katlego and the amount of information that you're seizing out there. May you highlight a lot more people and build the brands that need to be built and the businesses that need to be built. Let me just see. I'm thinking about for, because I know Mahalet is still here. So I'm going to say to those who run, who have events, mine is that I still always want to include models, but I will pose this to agencies, and I don't say modeling agencies, but also advertising agencies where they pull in the money. Pay attention to what people need, deserve, and how you're going to actually elevate and grow an industry. A lot of, anyway, so that's another one for another day. Let me get the agencies in here and then we can have those discussions. Maybe I'll call you guys back and I'll be like, Nelvin, talk to them about representing brands and how we should be represented and why agencies are getting cut off here and why you guys are not paying the right amount of money and why you guys are going under the table. Oh, yeah, you see?
Yeah, things
like
need to change in Kenya. From what I've heard, things need to change a lot.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like a
I
whole.
think we need to go to Kenya just for a little bit, for like a couple of months.
Yeah, I think we just invade Kenya.
we have our work cut out. I'm trying not to poke the beasts, man. But okay, so last parting words. Let me just leave it there because I'm like, Nelvin.
Linda, if you can allow me to ask you something, yeah?
Yes.
You were doing something incredible with the fashion core installations, and then it stopped. What happened?
Motherfuckers don't like to pay.
Goes back to that.
Sorry, don't mind my. Sorry, mommy, if you're watching this. This is like the third time my mom's just catching me in the middle of like this stuff. But the core is definitely there. I'll tell you what. Our structures definitely need to change. When we're walking into corporates and agencies and asking for sponsorships and stuff like that, I start feeling bad for our industry here in Kenya because you look at South Africa, you look at Nigeria, let's just go into Lagos. They have such a support system in terms of corporate. They understand the value, the add value of having, plugging in the money into the fashion industry. Listen, we are $1 billion industry. If Nelvin can grow his brand and we can represent him, my installations were more about, you have to see when you see it, as opposed to runway show, walking back and forth. Mine has to be that you have to be able to see the texture, see how it sits on this person, walk around, understand what the brand is. Does it associate with you? Because the business of fashion works that way, for Nelvin to be in full-on production, he puts a lot of money and work into creating a show. So there's a whole cycle, it's not just for inclusion of people buying in Kenya, but it becomes, imagine if you could be stocked in stores in South Africa, in Cape Town, in Joburg, in Lagos, and what if we started our own mainstream department stores, supporting African brands or African designers? There's a lot to say about it. But remember, in order for us to also start plugging some of these things in, I have to source my models, I have to pay them. It's not just coming out of anywhere. So there's some brands who would be able to associate with an event of such, but we'll see. I mean, the beat has to stop.
Yeah, I think I like
what we'll be back.
With the business of fashion thing, I think it's great that you also said that the designers don't just create for the country where they are. They have to be able to get their clothes to other parts of the continent as well, which I think is something the fashion agency in South Africa is doing. So they take the African designers and they take them to different countries. It's not just, Tebe Magugu and Reach and all of those people, they don't just create for South Africa. They have their clothes in Lagos, they have their clothes in different parts of the continent and even overseas as well. So it's not just doing fashion shows just to get the pictures. You want to be able to sell the clothes, and not just to the people in your country, Because I mean, we have Armani and Versace and all of those people here. Why can't we have all of those people as well in
Yes,
other African countries and have it in Paris and in Milan and all of those other places? So, and I think one of the problems that we have is like African fashion is not really supported in Africa.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing, like people need to start supporting the African designers. Like a designer would, I mean, somebody would rather pay 10,000 rand for a Giorgio Armani jacket than to pay 5,000 rand for, I don't know, Tebe Magugu or David Clary, you know, or a Melvin, exactly. Just because it's not Versace or it's not Armani. So I think what we need to start doing is just promoting the African designers as well, that's another topic on its own. So yeah. It's a business of fashion. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic.
It's a whole other topic. So Nelvin, you know, you and I, you know, I'll definitely be back with the presentations. It's just now restructuring itself in some way, form, and the other. But it had to also start with conversations like this. So this, to me, also becomes a blessing. In disguise, that we can sit here, we can have this and say, hey, Katlego, let's do this. Nelvin, let's pull up here, let's do something different. And Bisi, let's support, you know, the rest of our Kenyan models, you know. It could be, hey, could you book these guys? Could you take a look at these guys? You know, mine is just, let's collaborate, let's make things different, and push the envelope forward. But I'm going to have to love everyone. So Katlego, one last final words, darling. Did I give you your last final words, Nelvin? Let me start with the gent. Nelvin, go. Final word.
All I can say is we are in a different setup now, and we should be thinking of how we can elevate as an industry, and it all comes to everyone playing their part in terms of the stylists working with designers, working with models, working with photographers. So it's a whole 360 that we should embrace, and I'm glad that through such kind of podcasts and talks that we're able to have these conversations out, so we can be able to improve, and that's what I'm happy about.
All right, thank you, darling. Katlego, where are you? I see you up here.
Yeah,
go for it.
Last final words. I'd just like to say thank you, Linda, for creating such a platform where we're able, just echoing also what Nelvin was also saying, just creating such platforms where we're able to communicate and interact with each other, and also just see each other's opportunities and see and help each other where we might not see there's an opportunity. And also just the knowledge, passing down knowledge from different aspects and different people. And thank you so much.
You're most welcome. Bisi, your final word.
I think my final word would be to people that want to be models, because speaking from the point of a model booker, is as a model, never stop working on yourself, especially people that are trying to get into the industry. The way you approach agencies is very important. The kind of pictures you even send into agencies is very important as well. Like the pictures you send, it represents you. So in approaching agencies, be sure the pictures that you send represents you well, because they have a lot of people that I have a lot of model submissions that I go through on a daily basis, and if those pictures don't represent you well, sometimes we might move on to the next person. So for me, the advice is just to models, keep working on yourself, keep building your book, keep informing yourself about what is going on in the industry. I think that would be my final word.
Thank you so much, Bisi. So we definitely have a lot to do within, I want to say, within our modeling industry here in Kenya. And I guess now is a good time. I hope we have heard, we have listened, and we can implement something different. For the models, for the agencies, just take heed, listen, and let's do something in a very different way. And now I really want to thank, I am the beautiful, oh my gosh, the Curve. Nelvin, you need to come and check this place out. It's called the Curve.
Absolutely, looks fantastic.
Oh my gosh, I have
does.
the
It
national
does.
park right over here. I know.
I
I
was
know.
about to ask you that earlier. Like that looks like it's faces
Wait.
something so beautiful.
I gotta show
need
you. So
to
I mean,
see
like,
it.
it's really styling
It's
and
so
profiling. So
gorgeous.
it's an apartment hotel. And if you look over here, oh, okay. So I don't know if everyone can see my background, but at the back is our national park and our SGR growing over there. Hold up. Let's see if you can see it.
Wow.
Can you see that?
Oh,
So it's a
yeah.
national park
Wow.
back there. And then, you know, our roads are coming up. So it's also very dusty. But this is like
Wow, that is
it's such a
gorgeous.
beautiful space. So that, yeah, they're building an express highway, but you've got the national park, and you know, Kenya is the only country. Are we the only country, Nelvin, in Africa that has a national park within the city?
Let's claim it before someone else does.
No,
So, yeah,
that's us.
we
That's
are.
us. So I want to thank this beautiful partnership that I've had with the Spartan Hospitality Group. They've been absolutely fantastic. This beautiful space is called The Curve. I'm going to post out another video just featuring the space. But thank you very much. I really enjoyed being here. I know I've been trying to find my lighting, but hopefully the next one that we do, we'll have figured it all out. Maybe I'll just be lounging. Maybe I'll be lounging in the bathtub having a conversation with my next people. I don't know. Wow. Going down south. But thank you all so much, Nelvin. It's such a pleasure. Thank you so much. I'm so proud of you. Katlego, you know, we were supposed to meet. So I mean, even if it's this way, I'm super, super, super honored to have you. And thank you for introducing me to Bisi. And Bisi, thank you so much for jumping in on this. This has been brilliant. So happy Wednesday wherever you are. Look out for The Curve. 'Tis the place to be, and I'll be featuring them in the next couple of days. But thank you so very much. Nelvin, you must come here with me next time.
Absolutely. Maybe do a shoot there, yeah?
Absolutely. I will rope you into this. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, let's do it. I'll put in my words and then create the connection. That's how it happens, right? So yes, let's do it. All right, sending you guys love. Asante ni sana. That's my
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all.
Asante. I think I got
Oh,
that.
please subscribe, guys. Please
Nice
subscribe.
meeting you.
Katlego, have you subscribed? Nelvin, subscribe.
I did this morning, yeah.
Yeah.
Jump in, Mahale, go and subscribe. All right, thank you all. Mwah, have a beautiful
Doing
day.
that right now. Thank
Ciao.
you. Nice to talk to you guys.
Bye.
Good time, guys.
Bye. Bye.